Always think first, how can you make more money? If you make more money and you keep the expenses are the same, you earn more or you keep more. So rather than focus on cutting costs and eliminating expenses and cutting this, cutting is important. Expenses are important, but it's also important to have the mindset of how you can make more money. What's up? Yours truly, Michael Ferrera, back with another Style Your Life. And in this segment, we are doing something a little bit different. And for those of you that are existing investment advisory clients, you will enjoy this. This is specifically for you. And I encourage you to use these tools and use these tips right now to enhance and style your life, because there are certain things that you can be doing to improve your financial situation while you're at home, regardless if you're working, not working, a combination of the two, or still getting paid from the company that you're working at while you're quote unquote working from home. And I know there are some people that are working from home, but you will realize that there's a lot of time and a lot of things that you've been doing in your life that working from home has allowed you to do more of or do less of and take advantage of this time that you have. So with all the things, the news that's happening with this COVID-19, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 tips and 7 things that you can do right now on enhancing your financial situation at home while you have the ability to do so. So we're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to be sharing with you these 7 tips that you can use right now to better your financial situation. Number 1, evaluate how much you really like your bank or your credit union. Now, this may sound strange because guess what? You've always gone to this bank, or you've always gone to this credit union, or you've had this account since you were a teenager and it's your first credit union, checking account, savings account, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. Many of you that have worked with me for a number of years on the investment advisory space, you all know how I have this love, more hate relationship with the banks, because I do think that banks on the grand scale of things do some good for the community and do some good for marketing strategy purposes. But banks are very interesting spaces, including credit unions. So with that in mind, evaluate how much you really like your bank. And many times you cannot do this because you're at work, you're on the job, and you don't have the time to be on the phone and evaluate the goods and the bads of your bank. But now that you have that time, you should evaluate that. Look at all of the fees that you have in relation to your bank. Do you have a free checking account or a free savings account? Or additionally, you might think you do, but you really don't. So evaluate what are the fees that you have in relation to your bank or your credit union. Secondly, what benefits and features do they offer you? Most traditional big banks do not offer interest-bearing checking accounts, and if they do offer interest-bearing savings accounts, they're extremely low. So evaluate how much you really like that and how much you're willing to accept that, because there are many other banking institutions and credit unions that offer credit and interest-bearing checking accounts and higher interest-bearing savings accounts. So evaluate how much you like your bank and really see if you can make a move. And some of those moves, interestingly, can be in an online banking space. The online banking space has gotten very popular now, and you can view some of my other posts and material on the portal or some places online, and you can research places online on what are the best online banking institutions, and you can evaluate them to fit your needs. But many times the online banking space is becoming more and more popular, and I do think over time we will get there simply with the use of technology and how many things are available to us now. And online banking, without a doubt, is offering higher interest rates on savings and potentially interest rates on checking accounts. And how cool will it be to get some money by having an institution that you're going to have at anyway, and your bank is probably not doing that. So number 1, evaluate how much you really like your bank. All right. Number 2. Now this is one that you can do from home, and that you could be doing and should be doing all the time, well, this is one that you should do now that you have the time to evaluate it. And it's going to be twofold, because it maybe looks scary when you look at it right now, but more importantly, you want to keep in mind the bigger and longer term picture. Evaluate the current state of your 401k plan at work, 403b, 457, whatever you have at your job or place of employment. Whatever retirement plan you have, evaluate it and make sure that it's in line with your goals and objectives. Now, it's the reason why I say it's twofold is that unfortunately it's not going to look pretty right now on a computer screen, because with the fluctuation of our economy and our markets, it is what it is. It might not look as pretty or as rosy as you anticipate, but this is important for you to evaluate your financial goals and evaluate how the investments that you have play into your longer term vision. If you are an individual that's on the latter end approaching your retirement, we are getting ready to retire within the next 4 to 5 years, we really want to evaluate to make sure that what you have done is now protected and that you can be in the right financial investments that are accomplishing your goals to hit your retirement objectives within the next 4 to 5 years. And sometimes that does cause making a change. On the other hand, if you're a younger individual and you have been investing in your 401k plan, you should look at it to make sure that those investments are in line with your objectives. Many times, if you've used the default investment portfolio that has a target date fund, which I'm not always so fond of, but they do have advantages. One of those advantages are kicking in right now. As to say, if you are planning to retire, 45 years from now or even 25 years from now, the investments that are in those target date funds inside of your 401ks are probably still going to accomplish the goal, because they're designed for times like this. They're designed to have the maximum growth potential over the long term to hit that goal 40, 30, or 20 years from now. So just making sure that the goals are in line. So if you're planning to retire longer down the lines and you're using one of those target date funds, you might be all right. Just hang tight. It might not be pretty and rosy on top of the fluctuation of the economies that we see in the present time, but make sure you understand that the investments that you're in are accomplishing your goals. The second part to that is that if you are in a situation where you are choosing your investments, not necessarily choosing the blanket target date that is oftentimes the automatic, but review the investments that you already have. Make sure that the investments are hitting your goals, that they are designed for the long-term growth, that they are designed for the protection or whatever your goal is. Make sure that the investments that you have are doing that. Oftentimes, it's not necessarily wiping out or getting scared and removing money. It's more importantly for you to understand that the investments that you have are accomplishing your goals. Goals and objectives are far more important than choosing the best investment or the best stock or the right thing to invest or the right time to invest. Having a financial plan and having the right investments to accomplish your goals or objectives are far more important of choosing the best or the cool or the right stock. All right, so keep that in mind. Moving on to number 3. The third thing that you can do right now while you're at home, I wouldn't say you're sitting at home lounging around, but quite frankly, you will notice that being and working from home, if you haven't been doing it before, it will allow you for more time of not driving, time of not sitting in traffic, time of preparing to get ready for work with makeup and hair and showers and all the other things that you normally do that you're just not doing. So those are 5 ways that you automatically have more time. And with those additional time pieces, you now need to devote that to your financial situation so you can better it. The third thing that you should be doing, back to the 401k situation, is review some of your old and past 401k plans or 403b plans, 457 or other retirement plans that you've had in the past at companies that you no longer are working with. There's millions of people that have old and multiple 401k plans sitting off at a company doing they don't know what because they left the company and they also left their 401k plan there. Why? you have to truly evaluate this. And many times we put this thing off because we're at work, we don't have time, and 401k companies are oftentimes open from 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time, or 8 to 8 Eastern Standard Time, and therefore you really don't have the time to sit on the phone and evaluate, how do I roll over my 401k or old plans that you no longer are working in. This is the time to evaluate that. So I encourage you to evaluate your old 401k plans, and quite frankly, more than likely, if there's an old 401k plan or retirement plan that you've had at an employer you're not working at, you need to roll it over. There's no need for money to be sitting somewhere that you have no control of. So talk with your financial professional and make sure that you are doing the right things and taking the right steps. If you don't have an investment professional that you're working with, there's ways at the bottom of the screen to evaluate and contact us to do so. But make sure that you are accomplishing things that you couldn't do while you are normally working, but you're now working from home, which gives you some free time. It may not be completely free, but these things that you've been putting off, take financial action to better yourself. And number 3 is absolutely evaluate that old 401k and roll it over. Move it into a place where you have control of it. Number 4, on the investment side as well, you need to be evaluating your existing portfolio. If you are an investor that likes to do it yourself and you're using a lot of the online platforms and technology and scrolls and the things that are now more popular and relevant with robo-advisors and all the above, make sure that the investments that you have, again, are in line with your goals and objectives. It's not about having the cool and the sexy and the fancy and the prettiest, nicest, fantastic, brag about stock portfolio and index fund or mutual fund portfolio, but it's making sure that you evaluate those investments that you have, that they are in line with your goals and objectives. Many times when we have fluctuation of economy and of markets, the funds, mutual funds, index funds, sometimes ETFs, are designed to take some of these bumps and bruises along the way. So again, revisit and evaluate if the investments that you currently have are hitting and accomplishing your long-term, intermediate, and short-term financial goals. Number 5, just as I talked about in regards to your portfolio, you also, and this is going to be a strange one coming from me being a financial professional and a licensed investment advisor, you have to evaluate your financial professional. And you have to make sure that they are helping you. Unfortunately, being in the industry for going on 16 years now, I've been through this. I've been through fluctuations of economies multiple times. I've been through pandemics, health issues, market crashes, recessions, all the above. I've seen this. So there's advantages to having seasoned being in an investment advisor position, because you no longer have to speak, and many of my clients notice, I no longer have to only speak by what papers and numbers give me. Yes, papers and numbers and history matters, but experience also matters. And when you've gone through it before, when you've gone through the trenches, when you've been through it, you know how to respond and you know how to act and interact with clients in times like this. So it's not pretty, it's not rosy, and it is what it is. But it is important for you to also evaluate advisor. Evaluate what are the fees that you're paying them, and what are the costs that you have. How convenient is it? Is your advisor doing proactive approaches by providing you value and content and audio and video sessions that can be useful to you? Are you able to contact them via phone, email, etc., and how they get in contact with you? And that also goes to individuals that have been using the technology or the robo-advisors. There are some advantages to having the robo-advisor, but what I've found as we progress in this new territory of financial planning, it's going to be a combination or a hybrid of using a robo and a professional, because unfortunately robos and robots do not have things that humans have, and one of those things is emotion and heart. Robots and robo-advisors can only give you black and white numbers, yes, no, but unfortunately financial industry and reaction to financials are not always black and white. There's emotion, there's love, there's care, there's children, there's family, there's relationships, There's, unfortunately, marriages, divorces, deceases, and the list goes on. Unfortunately, robots do not have that heart, that soul, that mind, that caring compassion that humans have. And that is so important to you evaluate. Robos are not completely bad, but there is an advantage of having a financial professional. But that is what I encourage you to do on number 5. Evaluate your advisor relationship to make sure that it's the right fit for you. Evaluate your credit cards. Now, this one I start smiling because many people put this off and they don't think that you can evaluate, negotiate, and communicate with your credit card company. Oftentimes, consumers look at credit card companies and also banks. Again, I smile because banks and credit card companies, many times credit card companies are just banks. But credit card companies, we look at them as this pie in the sky. Oh my gosh, they're the behemoth. I'm just a small consumer that needs 1 or 2 credit cards to build credit or use in emergencies. Whatever it is, that is not the case. Make sure you evaluate, reevaluate, and communicate and potentially negotiate with your credit card companies. I personally do this all the time. I have alarms in my calendar and on my phone to simply contact them and ask the credit card companies, what bonuses do you have? What offers do you currently doing? What promos? What benefits can I use? What can I get a better interest rate? Can I compare your interest rate with this potential card that I either got in the card or I seen online or I evaluated? You need to leverage the knowledge that you have from your advisor and professional that you're getting now and just combat with these so-called big companies. Call your credit card companies and ask them, what are they doing in this time of this coronavirus? Yes, that's an important answer, number 1. Get that out the way, move on. But the bigger picture is some of the stuff you do not have the time to do because you were working, you were picking kids up from school, and the list goes on. Call them and ask, what promos do they have? It's potentially that because you've been with them so long, they might be able to upgrade your card just because. They might be able to give you a bigger limit increase just because you've been with them so long and you've paid your credit cards on time. They might be able to offer a lower interest rate just because you're always consistent, you're always doing the things right, and they like individuals like you, so you're less risk. But the only reason they don't offer you a lower rate or better promotions or better offers is because you didn't ask and you didn't find out or inquire. And unfortunately, big banks and credit unions work this way. I remember a commercial a few years ago when Ally, one of the better online banking systems, and this is no promo for them, there's no kickback, it's just I'm using it for example. Ally did this commercial where they had kids and examples of good, and this one was way better. And when the other people realized that they could have got this option in the form of a toy or a game or something, the example was, why didn't I get this, what this person got, and you only gave me this over here? And the answer was, well, you didn't ask. And that's the awkward part about many times banks and credit cards. They don't give you what's available simply because you didn't ask. And what's the more awkward thing is many times you don't even know to ask. And we don't even know to communicate and say, oh, there is a better rate, or there's a better card, or it's just weird. So we just stay in this box of, I'll take the card that they give me, and I'll take the rate that they give me, and I'll take the whatever. No, you got to get out that window. Because we have some more time on our hands, you got to call them and combat, not in a negative way, but have a positive light and be very transparent on, I've been with you for these many years. I would like to credit increase, some more benefits. I'm getting the offer for this rate over here. Can you lower my existing rate? There's so many things that you can do. So contact your credit card companies and see how you can better your situation and your relationship with them. Number 7 is probably one that we all put off, and this one is kind of backfiring on us because it's happening for different reasons, but it is something that you should evaluate now and continue to evaluate in the future. So many of you that have been working from home over these past week or two, you've noticed that you now are using your home internet, your cable, your television, and Wi-Fi more than you probably use it during the daytime anyway. And what happens is you need to evaluate these things that you're now using more. So one, television, cable, these types of things, sometimes we're using them and sometimes we're not. So evaluate your expenses is number 7. What are the things, and this is not a doomsday, prepare for a crash and, cut expenses and cut costs. I never think like that. Expenses are important, but I always think first, how can you make more money? If you make more money and you keep the expenses are the same, you earn more or you keep more. So rather than focus on cutting costs and eliminating expenses and cutting this, cutting is important. Expenses are important, but it's also important to have the mindset of how you can make more money. More money is negotiating better salary, negotiating working from home regularly, once or twice a week, or whatever it may be. So let me stay focused on the expenses side. So evaluate the expenses. What are the things that you are paying for right now, either automatically, that you might not really need? Is your television that you now are working from home, you really don't need it? Or is it now the Wi-Fi that you're paying for that you really are using? Maybe your Wi-Fi is not as strong as it needs to be for you to actually have the Netflix, a computer, a cell phone, and a tablet all working at the same time. And many times, cable companies and internet companies, they get away with this because they know that people aren't at home during the daytime. So therefore, they can provide less bandwidth or less services to individuals, but still charge the same amount of money. So I personally do this. Again, back to that alarm clock that I do. I've been in situations where I know when there's a promo that's coming up every 2 years, you want to call your cable company or internet provider and ask them what promotions are happening, what discounts can they offer, and then remind them that, hey, I'm getting a slower connection. This happened to me this week. I'm getting a slower connection, whatever. Can you credit my account X, Y, and Z? If it's $20, if it's $30, whatever it is, you're getting money that you wasted anyway, that you're paying for, and many times they will be open to this. The second piece to that puzzle is, can they provide you a higher level of service or more gigabytes, more bandwidth for the same price? That's a win. You have to evaluate these things. Same thing with gas companies. Same thing with electricity. As awkward as it sounds, a lot of these things are negotiable. How can you minimize the uses by not using it as much, or understanding what the service is really provided? So understand the expenses that you're giving out. How much gas were you actually spending by going to work every single day? And now that you're not doing that, how much money are you saving? That's a great way to now take those. It might sound small, but how can you take those extra $80 a week or $60 a week, for some people $100 or more a week on gas, that you can now dump into your savings account or potentially dump into your investment account? So think about those small ways to evaluate expenses to take your game to another level. So use these 7 tips immediately. I did mention that one of those kind of awkward things that's happening with the internet and cable companies, unfortunately, they're getting a lot of calls right now. So I called one time and they were like, we're just unable to take calls right now. Please visit us online. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's weird. But, that is happening. But nonetheless, it's not limited to this COVID-19 situation. The reminder is to make sure that you're doing this regularly so that you're maximizing your dollar and you're not overpaying for lower levels of service, or that you're getting exactly what you pay for. So as usual, yours truly, Michael Ferrera. Use these 7 tips while you're at home, working from home during this time of this COVID-19 and coronavirus. Evaluate the things that are in your life. Make sure that you improve and maximize your financial health. Use these 7 tips and I'm sure they're going to enhance and style your life at a higher level. And as usual, you can have everything in your life that you desire as long as you truly believe it. We'll see you soon. Peace.